face first, just say hi.
Hi everybody, my name is Lee Glass. I'm here with Andrew Ross at the Washington State University Research Center in Mount Vernon, Washington. And we are going to be presenting the Bread Bakers Guild's first webinar. Our thanks, first of all, to Stephen Jones and others at the Research Center here for giving us the space to put on the webinar. And thanks also to Kathy Wayne of the Bread Bakers Guild, who is providing the technical support behind this. So this is our very first time. We ask you to bear with us as we go through a few technical issues. And right now we're getting set up to show you the slides, the PowerPoint slides that will be the basis for our discussion here today.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Ross. I'm a professor at Oregon State University, and I'm going to assist Lee here today in talking about the science of baking. Forgive me if I forget to look at the camera from time to time, but I'd like to thank everyone who's signed up for this experiment. And I can't remember if it's 26 states and 6 countries, and quite an intimidating lineup of folks out there to talk to. And if we seem a little bit strange right now, we don't have a live audience, so we'll work out how it goes. But I'm going to hand over to Lee now, and we're going to get into the bread and butter of this presentation.
Thank you, Andrew. So Andrew's going to be pulling up some slides for me, and I'll be looking off to the side from time to time as I view the slides to provide the verbal content. Next slide. So in this course, we're going to be going over the fundamentals of the science that underlies bread baking. And there'll be a brief introduction, and then we'll talk about starch, and then proteins, and then yeast, salt, and then what goes on during the mixing process, what goes on during the fermentation process, and what goes on during the baking process.
So in amongst all that, occasionally I'll jump in and talk about wheat flour testing methods, some of which you may be familiar with, some which you may not be so familiar with, and try to relate this sometimes, for example, to standards of identity or specifications that you might see on the paperwork that accompanies a flour delivery.
So, by way of introduction, after World War II, the United States entered a couple of decades of prosperity. And it was a time of economic growth for the United States, and it was a time during which the country saw itself for what it was, the leader in many, many regards to the rest of the world. Levittown was a town that was created by a fellow named Levitt, and his idea was that everybody should be able to own a house. There was a time after World War II where for about $4,000 a family could have a home on the East Coast. Rural electrification was taking place, and with electrification to farms and factories all over the country, the country could spend much more time going out, seeing the USA and its Chevrolet. Newness was supposedly better, and bigger was better, faster was better, and supermarkets took over where family mom and pop grocery stores used to be. I can still easily remember television programs that were presented by Monsanto, where their motto was better living through chemistry. I remember reading an ad in Scientific American for Pittsburgh Paint and Glass. The ad said that lots of people know that we're a paint manufacturer, but few people know that we are the world's largest manufacturer of artificial grape flavoring. I stopped drinking artificial grape flavoring after that. During this period, there was a lot of work in the age of the atom. There was a lot of work by plant chemists that wasn't possible before to understand the intricacies of how plants develop, because radio-labeled compounds could be used for that. And with this, all of this emphasis on chemistry, much of it was used in the baking process commercially, and it spurred the development of breads like Wonder Bread and Wholesome Bread and the like. Now in Europe, things were quite different. Europe had been devastated by World War II. Rationing in England didn't completely end until 1952. It took a long time for Europe and the United Kingdom to get back from the devastation of the war. And in this era, where many of the men in that area had been killed or seriously wounded during the war, it was really important that production maximize output. And so Europe started adopting some of the techniques that the United States had adopted. And the result, in my opinion, was the development of the French equivalent of Wonder Bread. Next slide, please. Now, in the United States, what we now call artisan bread was the traditional type of bread in cities like, say, San Francisco, where Boudin Bakery, which was founded in 1849 and has been operating consistently ever since, is located. But more recently, there has been a real push to develop good-tasting, wholesome breads. And in the Seattle area where I'm from, we have a number of great bakeries. And San Francisco has great bakeries. New York now has great bakeries, all making really good bread. Next slide, please. So the science of baking, taken to its extreme, in my opinion, can be viewed as the Chorleywood process, the process of bread baking in England, where it's all science. Go from wheat to a packaged loaf of bread in 3.5 hours. And to do that requires a lot of very special techniques, including negative pressure proofing and decreased partial pressure of nitrogen, on and on and on. Excuse me, next slide, please. So the question is, for this lecture, can we use what we know about science to create breads that have the maximum amount of flavor, a great crumb structure, have a crust that has the texture and the color that we're looking for, and overall the taste that we want our loaves to have? I believe that we can.